Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Streggy, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am David Streggy, and here I have another review for you, this time of a claymation-ish type animation from Norway. It's Norwegian. Funny thing is that this is the fourth installment in the Pinchcliff or Pinchville. I think it's the Pinchcliff quadrilogy, because there was a film in Norway that was a claymation type animation by Ivo Caprino in 1975 called The Pinchcliff Grand Prix, which was basically about Reodor Felgen, who decides that he will enter a car race to defeat his former friend who has stolen his plans for a car. There are a couple other films before this particular film, which is called Mission to the Moon, and I have it where it says Where No Duck Has Gone Before, and it is a film that was filmed in 2018. The thing is, even though it's called Mission to the Moon, in reality, the two main characters here called Lewis and Luca, have their names in front of Mission to the Moon. So, in reality, it's called Lewis and Luca Mission to the Moon. And let me just tell you what this film is about. So, in the international race to the moon, the Norwegian mission is led by the brilliant inventor Reodor from the village of Pinchcliff, with Luca, the magpie, as the brave astronaut. What could possibly go wrong? The thing is, the names change in the English language. And I believe that the voices are voiced by Carrie Ann Grunzund. Let's see. Carrie Ann Grunzund plays Solon Gunderson, or otherwise known as Louis Gunderson. Or actually, there's Louis, there's Luca, there's Elfie, I guess, which replaces the character of Reodor. And this is in the village of Pinchcliffe. So, in a sense, this... Oh, by the way, this is my copy of the film. This is the only film of the film series, which there are 4 of them, including this one. And this is the only one that has made it to a Region 1 standpoint. So I'm hoping that the other ones, like the one before this one, is called The Big Cheese Race. There's another one that's before that one, and then there's the film that was filmed in 1975 by Ivor, called the Pinchcliffe Grand Prix Race. So, yeah. There are a few characters in here, like the widow Strongald den Glad, and Vigfus Skunken, who are played by Hedge Schoyen and Ingar Helg Gimmel. Luca and Louis are played by Carrie Ann Gronsund and Trond Hulvik, and Elfie is played by Per Skajelsvik. These are names that I'm not sure I've even pronounced them right. But essentially we have these 5 characters. Apparently the moon, since it was landed on, has reached its point of limitations, statute of limitations, where I guess the moon is now up for grabs for whatever country wants to reach the moon with. So, in a sense, this kind of reminds me of like a period in time when there was really a race to the moon during the Kennedy time. And so we have Elfie, who is this inventor of electronics and stuff. He kind of reminds me like of Launchpad and from DuckTales. In a sense, like if you put Doc Brown and Launchpad together, you'd get Elfie. There is this coffee machine that makes tons of coffee that shoots out like pouring coffee. That's kind of cool. And I guess he has this small rocket that he's made. And the Magpie, Lewis, films the first test launch, which is put off by the widow Strongaldon Glad. And the widow herself, she is a character. she's this older lady who seems to be like a society madam who just always seems to get like herself into everything, so she brown noses a lot, and she doesn't seem to have any sense of respect for, you know, even though she's representing a certain part of the, you know, space race shit. She's almost like a mayor, a character or whatnot, but she ends up having a relationship with one of the reporters later on, and ultimately makes a mess of things throughout the film. And honestly, she's kind of useless. A useless character, but we get her anyways. But you see these three sitting here watching the news reports about the fact that the Norwegians are interested in the space race. Well, and even though the test run of the rocket has failed, the Magpie, Lewis, ultimately calls the Norwegian space people to tell them that it was a successful run. And this is pretty much how Alfie gets put to the spotlight of creating this rocket that ultimately takes a bunch of them to the moon. And there's an ape that ends up being a stowaway, who is kind of someone who is trying to be a criminal of some sort. The scientist dude, Vigfus, is trying to get moon dust back from the moon, but somehow he ends up making them run almost out of air through the whole thing. And he's got this like big badass robot that supposedly vacuums everything on the moon for this moon dust that evidently is like something that is worth money back on Earth. I thought it was sort of comical that the Magpie's friend ended up going to the porta potty, the wooden porta potty that was that was back at their home, and somehow the porta potty ended up being transported on the rocket while they were shooting up to space. And he ended up being in space with them. And this rocket was really cool looking. I mean, it had the ability to take and grab the porcupine from the outside and bring him to the inside. It seemed like there was quite a little bit of space on board. It really did get them to the moon. And I guess in the end, the scientist, Vigfus, ultimately wasn't that bad of a character. I mean, in a way, his character reminded me of that professor on Peabody and and Sherman, that old 50s cartoon. But here is the smaller rocket. It was called the Apollo Zero, or at least a Apollo rocket. And what happened was the widow, she came in, and you saw her in the photo before this. She went and pressed the button, and then later she ended up popping the cork for some champagne, which fucked up Elfie's controls when he was launching the rocket later on, and so on and so forth. So I thought that this was a fun film. It had some humor. The thing is, the magpie and the porcupine, Lewis and Luca, kind of reminded me of like Paddington Bear and his friends, as far as voices go. At least it seems to be along those lines when it comes to the claymation aspect of things. Very much reminds me of watching the original Paddington Bear. This animation reminds me of something in between Wallace and Gromit and, I would have to say, Will Vinton claymation. So that's the level of, I think that the level of claymation here was pretty spot on, and you did have some very believable characters here. So I thought, well done. It had character, it had detail, it definitely had interesting colorings. The fact that they kept their newscast people on board the rocket without them knowing is kind of some like blind humor. So that was kind of cool. But in any case, for a family film, this wasn't a bad story. And I thought that there was a cool moral about how even in the sake of having almost killed them, the scientist ultimately became their friend in the end, because he was so lonely as a scientist. And I thought it definitely had a pure message with the porcupine, because he's the one who went after the robot that was vacuuming up the moon, and we have him thanking the moon for his bathroom trip to the porta potty when he was had all the coffee in the very beginning. I don't know. It was entertaining, and I thought it was kind of a delightful story, and I would love to see the other two films arrive here in North America, because these characters were entertaining enough for me to want to see more from this Pinchcliffe village. And I was surprised to realize that, well, let's see. this particular film and the other two films before this were directed by Rasmus A. Sivertsen, or Sivertsen. And the other two films, let's see. The other two films look like, well, the one before this is called The Big Cheese Race. And this the other one was from 2013. I'm not even sure if it actually has a real name. But let's see. It was from 2000. Oh, Lewis and Luca and the Snow Machine. So this was kind of a Christmas movie. And this one says it's the small town of Flakelipa, or Pinchville, is experiencing great lack of snow, which is why the inventor Reodor Felgen, or in the U.S. here, his name is Alfie, is asked to create a snow machine. However, things do not go as planned. So, I'd love to see those. And I do want to check out the original one called the Pinchville Grand Prix. But this particular film was fun. It was entertaining. And I thought it might be a good one for kids. So, hopefully you have enjoyed my thoughts on this film. As you can see, you've got the magpie's eyes here. You've got the widow in between the scientist Bigfoot and Alfie shaking hands on having done a good job on getting together. So I appreciate it so much for you listening to what I had to say on this film and some of its history. But I'm glad that I picked this up for $1. In any case, like, share, and subscribe, and I hope that you check out some of my other reviews, and let me know down in the comments what you thought of this film, and whether you've seen any of the previous films with Lewis and Luca. One thing I wanted to say about the production of this particular film is that Mapo Film worked with Cubiston Animation, which eventually went out to distributors in Sola Media, which went worldwide for all media. And in France, it went with KMBO. In India, it went with Maruti Enterprise. In Norway, it went with Nordisk Film Distribution and Just Film Distribution in 2019, as far as the Netherlands and its theatrical run. But the other thing is the Norway Film Institute had something to do with this film as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. But thank you. Hopefully you will find this review entertaining and enjoy the rest of your day. I thought that this was very much up my alley of family films. So enjoy.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?